On May 28, far-right protesters stormed the Magdeburg factory, killing one immigrant worker, injuring others, and setting fires that shut down production.
That same week, we were called. Our team at Compass Crisis Solutions was tasked with one thing: stabilize, rebuild, and protect.
Our legal team identified 3 urgent risks: compliance with the German Occupational Safety Act, Section 3, the General Equal Treatment Act, Section 2, and the EU GDPR, Article 33. But more importantly, we didn't focus on pointing fingers. We focused on implementing solutions.
One of the major challenges will be to get control of the narrative. As of now, the media is focused on the unsubstantiated claims that your employees sexually harassed 3 local women after their shift ended. Until these claims will be substantiated, we recommend assuming the role of protecting your employees against prejudice while also signaling full compliance with the authorities. Signaling the family and community values and taking a stance against any violence clearly positions the company against extremism and potential backlash should further harassment claims evolve.
To prevent legal penalties and demonstrate leadership, we advised immediate engagement with regulatory authorities, fast-tracking reporting of the IT breach, and public alignment with the anti-discrimination law. Politically, Chancellor Merz has described the attack as a form of terrorism. There will be strong expectations from the media, government, and broader society for the company to take a stance that supports democratic values, public safety, and social cohesion. At the same time, with rising political radicalization, outright rejection of the right-wing sentiment could carry its own risks. Remaining silent or neutral may be interpreted as tacit approval of the extremism. Therefore, we recommend that the company's communication focus solely on condemning the violence, without referencing any specific political party.
We also learned lessons from how other big companies behaved in comparable cases. Over 40 of Germany's leading companies, including Siemens, Volkswagen, BMW, Deutsche Bank, and Bayer, launched a collective initiative, We Stand for Values. This initiative represents how leading businesses can publicly take a stand during social and political tension and reinforces an ethical leadership. Walmart's response to the 2019 El Paso shooting received positive reactions after acting fast, where the CEO, Doug McMillon, issuing a company-wide message praising employees' bravery in the event and strongly emphasizing unity, community support, and compassion. Besides, the company also provided on-site counseling and long-term assistance for employees and families affected by the tragedy. Our goal wasn't just to manage a crisis. It was to use the crisis to build a stronger, safer, and more inclusive organization.
After analyzing the situation, we determined that this is the most effective course of action for each stakeholder group. Immigrant employees were assessed as facing both operational and physical risks. The situation caused damage to the company's value, with the real possibility of abstinence or resignation due to concerns about further attacks. There's also potential legal exposure. If the families of the victims can prove that the Occupational Safety Act was breached, that the attacks could have been foreseen and prevented, the company may face serious legal consequences. The risk was assessed as high severity, high likelihood, and high urgency. If the company fails to act, protect its workers, and publicly condemn the crime, the employees are likely to stay away and turn to unions to defend their rights. That would directly damage the company's operations and value. The management and family members are another stakeholder group, and this stakeholder group was categorized under reputational risk. Public statements made by both production manager and family member of the ownership team were inconsistent. Specifically, these statements suggested that foreign employees should never have been hired. Comments that may constitute a breach of the General Equal Treatment Act. As a result, the company may face legal liability. The risk was assessed as high severity, high likelihood, and high urgency. Conflicting interviews had already harmed the company's brand and corporate value. Further misstatements would only increase confusion about the company, what the company stands for, and both internally and externally, likely leading to reduced productivity and declining sales.
Suppliers were assessed under operational risk. Following the attack, there was a clear threat of withdrawal or delay of critical services. If suppliers were to withdraw, the impact would be immediate and severe. Access to essential materials and services would be disrupted, imposing a detrimental effect on the company's operations. The risk was rated as high severity, high likelihood, and high urgency. The media was categorized under reputational risk. This risk was rated as medium severity, high likelihood, and high urgency. Escalating media narratives, particularly across social platforms, had the potential to intensify public conflict, trigger order cancellations, and cause investor pullbacks. It was clear that rapid, consistent messaging was critical to stabilizing perception and protecting trust.
Public communities were assessed under market and revenue risks. The concern was that the incident could bring and lead to boycotts or reduce orders from community-aligned buyers, including both pro- and anti-refugee groups. This risk was rated as medium severity, high likelihood, and medium urgency. If local sentiment turned negative, there was a real possibility that competitors could divert contacts. We treated community sentiment as a commercial risk and prioritized proactive local engagement to stabilize demand. Governments and political parties were categorized under regulatory risks. The primary concern was regulation or political backlash that could affect operations. There was also a GDPR-related risk. If client data were to be compromised due to the IT disruption, the company would be required to report it within 72 hours under EU law. This risk was treated as medium severity, low likelihood, and low urgency. While some officials expressed support, a more emboldened far-right presence could push for restrictive policies or trigger investigations, increasing compliance, costs, and operational delays. Investors were assessed under financial and operational risk. This risk was rated as high severity, low likelihood, and low urgency. If triggered, investor withdrawal would impose serious financial strains and disrupt leadership stability, affecting both strategic direction and operational continuity. It was essential to maintain confidence through transparent communication and timely recovery updates.
Now let's go through the crisis response plan, starting with the most immediate action. The first priority is securing the site. A full site lockdown is in place, including 24/7 guards, police coordination, and access control. This stabilizes the environment and the visibility restore order. Secondly, we will hold an internal staff communication session. An internal statement has been issued across all channels, followed by manager lead handles to reduce anxiety and reinforce safety protocols. Thirdly, we will make a public statement and control the media. A CEO statement condemning the violence will be released via press, social media, and web, supported by media coaching to ensure alignment and prevent misinformation. Then the CEO and senior leader will visit the site to meet the staff directly, providing visible leadership and restoring internal morale. Dedicated lessons will contact families of injured and decreased employees, offering counseling, financial and translation, and ongoing updates. IT, legal, and compliance team have launched a bridge assessment. If any data compromise is found, notification will go out to client and regulation in line with GDPR. Finally, there is stakeholder and investor engagement. Regular briefing and FAQ will be provided to investor and affected stakeholders to maintain confidence and minimize uncertainty.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, colleagues, and members of our community, today I'm speaking to you with a heavy heart. On May 28th, a tragic event took place in Magdeburg facility, injuring 16 and taking the life of one of our colleagues. We mourn the losses deeply, and our hearts go out to families, friends, and all those affected. As a company, we strongly condemn any acts of hate, violence, harassment, and discrimination, no matter what the heritage, background, or gender is. As a family business, Johan Smiddish Metalwork has always operated with the guiding values. At this stage, our top priority is to provide a safe environment for our employees and suppliers, and we will work closely with experts and authorities to ensure such an incident could never happen again. We will also focus on providing immediate support to the families affected, as well as trauma counseling to all of the employees. As we go back to full productions, we're enhancing safety and reviewing all our protocols to ensure the safety of everyone at the facility. It is clear that we were unprepared for a crisis of this magnitude, and we're already taking decisive steps to address this gap. As we are deeply committed to our employees, customers, partners, and the broader Magdeburg community, we're also beginning a new journey. We will work closely with our employees, local institutions, and organizations to promote the values that we proudly stand for. We will continue to share regular updates on our progress and ensure full transparency on how we address the broader implications of this event. This is a painful moment in our history, and we will face this together.
From day 4, the priority will shift to stabilizing internal well-being, reinforcing site security, and restoring trust with key stakeholders. Psychological support and trauma counseling will be made available, offering professional care to affected employees. This early intervention is essential to support recovery, prevent disengagement, and show a clear commitment to staff well-being. In parallel, enhanced surveillance and formalized safety protocols will be implemented across the site. A coordinated media strategy will be activated to shape public perceptions. This includes preparing the CEO for a visible leadership moment, launching a community outreach, and delivering regular updates across digital platforms, ensuring transparency and trust during a period of high scrutiny. Customer and supplier outreach will also begin here, supported by call, scripts, and FAQs. Proactive reassurance will help preserve key relationships, manage concerns early, and protect business continuity. Finally, to maintain message discipline, internal guidelines will be issued to clarify communication protocols. Only the CEO will serve as the official spokesperson, with all staff informed through a written code of conduct. Midterm, starting in week 3, the response will focus on strengthening internal systems, deepening community partnerships, and reinforcing long-term resilience. An independent workplace discrimination and safety audit will be conducted by external HR consultants. The Magdeburg Together coalition will be launched to unite local governments, civil society, unions including IG Metall, and major employers in a coordinated recovery effort. Coalition will lead joint initiatives on employee safety, social cohesion, and refugee integration. This positions Schmidt as a regional leader in healing and reconstruction while reinforcing its ESG commitments. To support refugee employees and reduce labor instability, HR will coordinate structured integration programs in partnership with employment agencies and national refugee services. Schmidt will implement mentorships, training, and apprenticeships to help new hires succeed and build long-term workforce capacity. The legal team will also submit a comprehensive risk mitigation report to the occupational health and safety authorities. Finally, external IT consultants will be brought in to strengthen digital infrastructure. This includes renegotiation, the Sachin Data AG contract, to add business continuity clauses, and establish failover protocols, finally, to ensure regular security audits. These steps will protect operations, prevent future disruptions, and help restore client confidence in Schmidt's resilience. Mid-long-term and post-crisis, as we move beyond immediate stabilization, we are focused on building long-term resilience and cultural reform. We're not aiming to return to business as usual. We are committed to building something stronger. We're introducing an inclusion charter to formally establish our company's commitment to diversity, equity, and workplace safety. Alongside this, we're implementing an anonymous whistleblower system to ensure that every employee has a protected, confidential way to report discrimination or risk. To strengthen our leadership culture, we are delivering mandatory anti-discrimination and crisis protocol training for all managers. We're in the process of joining 10th Deutschland and the We Stand for Values Coalition. These networks promote refugee employment, social cohesion, and responsible business leadership. These are values we are proud to uphold and represent. To oversee this work, we're appointing a Director of Trust, Equity, and Stakeholder Engagement. This new role reports directly to the CEO and is responsible for coordinating our reforms, maintaining relationships with governments, unions, and NGOs, and monitoring public sentiment and reputational risk. These are not symbolic actions. They are structural changes. We're embedding accountability, transparency, and inclusion in the future of Johann Schmidt Metalwork.
This crisis showed us how fragile trust can be, but also how it can be rebuilt. We didn't just help the company survive, we helped them evolve. With an inclusion charter, employee training, long-term stakeholder engagement, and real transparency, Schmidt is now positioned not just as a manufacturer, but as a responsible member of society. Inclusion, integrity, accountability. That's how recovery begins.